Good evening, and welcome to Productions Vintage Radio Hour. Our collaboration with over 50 outstanding performers and technicians from across the country, and the legacy of audio entertainment that harkens back to the golden days of radio, brings you a second season of 12 shows filled with suspense, mystery, fear, and maybe a little murder. The upcoming show, To Find Help, originally airing in 1945, features Josie Merkle, Jason Kientz, Tom Holliday, Richard Dana, and David Tull in a warped story about definitely not judging a book by its cover, or else. Stay tuned after the show for the second part of our doubleheader, The Burning Court, an exhilarating tale involving a little poison, a generational curse, and a smattering of deadly deception, starting at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Now, shh.
My roomer, Mr. Armstrong, tried to warn me that morning he left on his business trip. I remember we were just finishing breakfast, and he was rather in a hurry.
I don't care what you say, Mrs. Gillis. I just plain don't like it. You're alone here in this house all day. There are no close neighbors. And after all, you know nothing about the man.
Good gracious, Mr. Armstrong. You'd think I was a pretty young thing of 20 to hear you tell it.
Oh, and another thing. Seems very strange to me that a young man should be job hunting from door to door this day and age. Why, there are plenty of jobs to be had.
Well, that's just why it's so difficult to find help these days. You're a worrywart, Mr. Armstrong. Now that I found someone to do my heavy work, I'm not going to let your silly notions change my mind.
Well, all the same, though, I'm not leaving the house this morning till I get a look at this guy.
I remember I kept worrying about poor Mr. Armstrong missing his train because it was getting to be 9 o'clock. He dried the breakfast dishes for me. As he talked, he kept looking out of the window toward the long driveway.
Hey, here he comes. Well, I guess I needn't have worried.
Mr. Armstrong was smiling, for he'd seen my young man who was coming up the driveway, and I smiled too. Even I had forgotten what a meek, harmless-looking lad he was. Why, he would hardly be called a man at all, I thought.
So that's the critter who's been causing me all this mental anguish?
There you see, you and your silly ideas.
Why, the little guy's not strong enough to keep a regular job, I suppose.
Why, I believe Sarah's getting some of your foolish notions, Mr. Armstrong.
Now, Sarah. Sarah, I'm sorry that we made you nervous about him. Why, if you could see the guy.
He'll hear you. Good morning, lad. I've been expecting you. This is my roomer, Mr. Armstrong. I don't believe you told me your name.
I'm Howard Wilton, ma'am.
Well, hello, Howard. How are you? I'm glad you've come. I know you'll be a great help to Mrs. Gillis here, and you'll be company too. Well, I'm off, Mrs. Gillis. Take care of yourself. I don't think you'll have much trouble.
I don't think your dog likes me, Miss Gillis.
Well, of course she does. She's just getting a little old and peevish.
Oh.
Come along now, Howard. I'll show you where to hang your coat.
Oh, yes, I always like to hang up my coat.
He followed me into the closet storeroom at the back of the house, and I handed him a clothes hanger and a rough, heavy apron which I kept for cleaning help.
Is this apron clean, Miss Gillis?
Why, of course it's clean. No one's worn it since it was laundered last.
There's spots on it, see?
Spots? Here, let me look. Why, that's paint. No dirt and dried paint, son.
If you don't mind, I'd rather not wear it.
What will you wear then? You didn't bring other clothes.
I'm a neat worker, Mrs. Gillis. You needn't worry about my clothes.
I turned, and the light hitting his face from the small storeroom window made him look so different. I was startled for a moment, and then I thought, oh, you're a silly old woman, Mrs. Gillis. And then I smiled.
Are you laughing at me, Miss Gillis?
Why, no, son. I was laughing at myself. Come along, let's get started now. He'd only been at the den floor a short time when I heard him walk back to the closet storeroom. Can I help you, son?
I'm going after my coat, Mrs. Gillis. I don't like it being out there in the storeroom. It's a breeding place for moths, you know?
No, son, it takes longer than that for moths to do any damage.
Miss Gillis, perhaps you won't think it's quite so amusing when I tell you that's my best and only coat.
Well, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, lad. Where would you like to put it? In the kitchen, perhaps?
No, the cooking fumes wouldn't be good for it. I'll take it right in the den with me. That is, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead, Howard.
If you don't mind.
Suddenly, I was thankful that there was a phone. He was such a peculiar boy. I wasn't really alarmed. Not then, I wasn't. Still, it was good to know the phone was there and that old Sarah was still in the kitchen asleep. I went on about my own work that morning, but several times I went into the den to have a look at him. He wasn't doing much, I could see that. He seemed to keep polishing one small square in the corner of the room. Is there anything you need, Howard? Howard?
I won't be spied upon, Miss Gillis. I won't put up with that.
Well, see here, lad, I think we must have gotten off on the wrong foot. I'm not spying on you.
Then why do you keep popping in like that? Would you like me to go faster? Would you like me to spill my life's blood for you here on the floor? Is that what you're after?
Howard, are you well? Are you well enough to work?
Of course I'm well. If only you'd quit bothering and pestering and questioning me. Is that too much to ask?
Howard, son, I'm interested in young men. I have 2 boys of my own. They were in the service. See, that's Bill on the desk there. He was a Marine. And on the table there, that's Dennis. He was in the infantry.
So, that's why you hate me. I see it all now.
Hate you? Why, whatever gave you the idea?
Yes, you hate me. I could tell it the moment I walked into your house this morning.
But, Howard,
You hate me because I'm young and I wasn't in the service like your boys.
Why, it never occurred to me. You must know I was grateful when you came looking for work.
Grateful? You resented me. The only reason you have me here is to work my life's blood away, to punish me for not being in the service, just because your sons were in the service and I wasn't.
Son, you're ill. Let's put the work away now. I'll make you a cup of tea.
Oh, you don't want me to do the job? Is that it? You're just like the Army. There was a job to be done, and they didn't want me to let me in. Now you want me to stop this in the middle?
I only want you to do whatever will make you feel better.
Well, leave me alone then.
Very well.
Mrs. Gillis,
Yes?
I'll tell you why I wasn't in the Army, if you insist.
I don't insist at all, Howard.
If you must know, I'll tell you. They said there was something wrong with my mind.
The first thing that I thought of when I reached the hallway was the phone. But it was in the den with Howard. I ran quickly to the back door. But it was locked, and the key wasn't in the usual place. Oh, the front door locked too. Then I heard a crash. It came from the den. I rushed in to find Howard peacefully polishing away at the same spot. He hadn't moved an inch. He didn't look up at me. Then I saw the phone, which had fallen to the floor beside him, but it hadn't just fallen. The wires had been torn out of the wall.
But the phone, Mrs. Gillis, it fell.
But the wires...
I suppose you think I ruined your phone.
Well, the wires...
That happened when it fell to the floor.
Well, it couldn't have.
That happened when it fell to the floor.
But the wires...
I don't suppose you'll be able to use it. Not for a while, anyways.
No. I don't suppose I will. Sarah? Here! Sarah? Sarah?
Mrs. Gillis,
Yes?
are you looking for your dog?
Yes. Yes, I haven't seen her all morning. She was in the kitchen.
Well, she's not there any longer.
I know. Where is she, Howard?
Where is she?
Yes! Where is she?
She's gone.
Gone! If you've harmed her,
She didn't like me, you know.
see here, I've put up with enough. You tell me where my dog is, or
Or what, Mrs. Gillis? You'll do what, Mrs. Gillis? What will you do?
Sarah, here! Sarah!
She's gone, Mrs. Gillis. I already told you that.
You've harmed my dog.
Have I?
You killed her. Poor old Sarah, who never heard a thing.
She would have hurt me.
You're bad, Howard. You're wicked. You're a coward.
I'm not a coward, Miss Gillis. Cowards are afraid to kill.
Only a coward would kill a poor old dog.
If I were a coward, I'd be afraid of you. And I'm not afraid of you.
You let me out of here.
I have strong hands, Mrs. Gillis. My fingers are like steel.
I've never harmed you.
No, and Sarah didn't either. But she would have if I hadn't harmed her first.
Let me out of here.
You're getting very noisy, Miss Gillis. Perhaps if I locked you in this closet here, you'd calm down a bit.
Oh, Howard! Howard! And then I heard the key turn in the lock. For a moment, I had the feeling of unreality. Was this really happening? But I found out soon enough that it wasn't a dream. For the dim light from the little square window picked up a limp, lifeless object in the corner of the dusty mops. I knew without looking further what it was. Poor Sarah. Sarah had never harmed a soul. I don't know how long he kept me there. I could hear him moving about the house. But he finally came. He spoke to me through the door.
Have you calmed down, Miss Gillis?
Yes, Howard. Let me out.
Why?
Because it's warm in here. Because I want to get out.
You were looking for your dog, weren't you?
Oh, no, never mind about that, Howard. Let me out.
Mrs. Gillis, if I kept you in there, you wouldn't be able to spy on me ever again.
I won't spy on you, Howard. Let me out.
Do you know what I've been doing, Miss Gillis?
No.
I've been doing your den floors, just like you asked.
Oh, that's fine, Howard.
It was fine being able to work peacefully, knowing that you were someplace where you couldn't bother me.
I won't bother you, Howard.
It was very peaceful, nobody to bother me.
Let me out, Howard.
Will you promise to do as I tell you?
I promise.
Anything?
Anything.
Very well, then. Now, no tricks.
No.
Feel my hands, Miss Gillis. Are they nice hands?
Yes, they're nice hands.
You haven't felt them. Did your sons have as nice a hands as these?
No, they didn't.
But they didn't have any trouble getting jobs, did they? I'm just as good as they were, you know.
Of course you are, Howard. Wouldn't you like some food, lad? You haven't eaten all day, you know.
Some food would be good.
Let me fix you some.
Mrs. Gillis, a woman I worked for once said my hands were weak.
She did?
She soon found out, however.
Here now, lad. I have some nice cold roast in the icebox.
I taught her a lesson.
It'll only take a minute to fix some salad.
Were your son's hands strong, Mrs. Gillis?
Oh, not as strong as yours, Howard. I'll set the table right away.
Mrs. Gillis, feel my hands again. They're like steel, you know.
I finally managed to get some lunch on the table. Howard sat beside me. He didn't say much, and he ate very little. I tried to appear casual, to engage him in conversation, anything. Do you work often, Howard?
Not often.
Do you have trouble finding jobs?
People are anxious to find help these days. Weren't you?
Yes, to find help.
Mrs. Gillis, they're looking for me.
Who, Howard?
I don't know exactly. People I worked for last, I guess.
Was that here in this town?
No, it was in another town. Everyone was looking for me, so I left. I went away. It's horrible to be spied upon, Mrs. Gillis. Do you know what it's like to be spied upon?
No, I don't.
Would you like to know?
No, I wouldn't, Howard.
I think I'll spy on you for the rest of the day. Then you'll know how it feels.
No, please, Howard. Whatever it is you want, take it and go away.
There's nothing I want, nothing. I only want to stay here with you.
I can't stand it, Howard. I can't. I'm an old woman. Please go away and leave me alone.
I'm not going away, Mrs. Gillis. There's still a job to be done. I'll go away after I've done everything that's to be done.
Howard, I have some money here in the kitchen cabinet drawer. It's a great deal. I'll give it to you.
I don't want your money, Mrs. Gillis.
Then go away.
That would be foolish. Then you'd tell on me.
Oh, no, I wouldn't really. Really, Howard, go away. And I'll never tell a soul that you've been here.
I don't believe you. And I don't trust you. There's only one way of being certain that you won't tell.
My heart jumped when I looked out the window. I thought it was the milkman.
Tell him to go away.
I can't. I've ordered some extra things.
Then go into the storeroom until he goes.
I can't, Howard. He knows I'm here. He'll expect me to pay him.
You promised to do as I said.
And he pulled open the cabinet drawer. I saw him take a knife out.
Now will you tell him to go away?
Howard, if I tell him to go, he'll think something's wrong. Then you'll get caught for sure.
All right, Mrs. Gillis. Take whatever you've ordered. But if you pull any tricks, you'll be sorry.
Without another word, he stepped back between the stove and the wall, but he was still within easy reach of me. Just a moment.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Gillis.
Good afternoon.
A lovely day, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Mrs. Gillis, I think I have good news for you.
You have?
Yep. Beginning the 1st, the company's taking on some more help. In the future, your deliveries will be made in the early morning.
That's nice.
I don't believe you ever did like these late deliveries, did you?
I never really minded.
Oh, if all of our customers were like you, Mrs. Gillis, it wouldn't be such a bad world. Here you are, 1 quart of milk and a pint of half and half. Goodbye, Mrs. Gillis.
The extra things, you forgot them.
The extra things?
Yes, the extra things. Now, don't tell me you've forgotten them. The eggs and the butter?
Okay, I'll get them right away.
Mrs. Gillis, I'm going to give you one more chance. When he comes back, you're to get rid of him. Do you hear? And if you give me away, I'm going to kill you. I'll kill you before he can get inside this house, and I don't care what they do to me.
I won't give you away, Howard. I'll only pay him. I'll have to do that.
Shut up, shut up. And remember.
Here you are, Mrs. Gillis.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Mrs. Gillis, I was going to say...
I'm sorry. I can't stop to talk today. I'm very busy.
You're very clever, aren't you, Miss Gillis?
What do you mean?
You thought you were going to put something over on me, didn't you?
I sent him away, didn't I?
The extra things you ordered, there weren't any.
Yes, there were. You saw him. You heard him.
He didn't know what you were talking about.
The milkman had returned. He stood outside the window. Howard looked at me. I saw his knuckles grow white as he clutched the knife.
This is your last chance. Get rid of him.
I will, Howard. I will.
I'm sorry to bother you again, Mrs. Gillis, but you forgot to pay me. That is, unless you want to...
Oh, yes. Yes. I'll pay you. Here you are.
Sorry I had to bother you, Mrs. Gillis, but you see, this is the day I have to account for my...
Yes, I'm busy. Can't you see that I'm very busy?
Tell me when he's gone, Miss Gillis.
I stood by the window and watched. He got into his truck. Then he drove off.
So, that was your scheme, was it? So you wanted to give me away?
He's gone now, Howard.
You thought he'd save you, didn't you?
No. I sent him away like you asked me.
Do you know what would have happened to me, do you? They would have taken me away.
Howard, leave me alone.
I'm going to punish you.
No, Howard. I've been punished enough.
No, you haven't.
He was standing very close now. I knew he still held the knife. Suddenly, everything was black. I slipped to the floor. When I came to, I was on the kitchen floor. Oh, my head throbbed. And then I remembered everything. But where was he? And I heard a sound, a soft, swishing sound. It seemed like hours before I could bring myself to move. Suddenly, the hall clock began to strike. Why, it was 5 o'clock. I'd been unconscious for longer than I thought. The room had already turned dark in the late afternoon light, but I could see him now. He stood in the middle of the room. He was pushing my heavy floor polisher back and forth. I tried to close the door quietly. But he looked up. He saw me.
What time is it, Miss Gillis?
About 5.
I guess I'll call it a day now. I've done a nice job, haven't I?
Yes, Howard. Very nice.
I think I'll be going now. Doesn't it shine nicely, Miss Gillis?
Oh, yes. Yes, it does.
Was it worth $5 to you?
Oh, yes, Howard.
I have nice hands, haven't I, Miss Gillis?
Yes, Howard. You have. Here. Take the money.
Thank you. It's a pity they have to be used to polish floors.
Well, you've done such a good job, Howard. I'm going to give you a few extra dollars.
Thank you. Will you be needing me again tomorrow, Mrs. Gillis?
No, thank you, Howard.
The door's locked, Miss Gillis.
Yes, Howard. Do you have the key?
Right. Why, yes, I do. I just remembered. I just remembered a lot of things. Miss Gillis, there's someone at the door.
Yes, Howard. Will you open it?
Should I?
Yes, Howard. You have the key.
I have? Is this it, Miss Gillis?
Yes, Howard. Open the door. Open the door, Howard. Open it.
All right, Miss Gillis.
I'm Mr. Stevens from the phone company. Your phone's been reported out of order.
Mrs. Gillis, is your phone out of order?
Oh, no, there must be a mistake.
That's strange. We've had several reports. Well, maybe I'd better run back and check my books.
Well, just a moment, Mr. Stevens. Could you do me a favor?
Why, certainly.
This boy,
Mrs. Gillis?
this boy, he's worked here all day. He's done a good job, but I don't think he's well.
I'm all right, Mrs. Gillis.
Oh, but you're tired. Aren't you tired, Howard? Doesn't your head ache?
Huh? Yes, I am tired, and my head does ache.
Well, maybe Mr. Stevens will be kind enough to drive you to the car line.
I'll be glad to, Mrs. Gillis, but I can't wait long.
Oh, right away. And I'll go along too. I have some marketing to do. And Mr. Stevens, as long as you're here, would you mind checking the phone just to make sure?
Why, of course.
I'll show you where it is.
Can I show him, Mrs. Gillis?
No, Howard, you wait here. We'll be right back. I moved quickly toward the den. Mr. Stevens followed me. Once inside, I closed the door behind me. He spotted the torn wires at once.
Say, this phone is...
It was the boy. That man. He's dangerous. Drive us to the police station as fast as you can.
Well,
Well, before he could reply, I opened the den door and went out. Into an empty room.
Say...
Howard? He's gone.
Yeah, it sure looks that way.
No. You've got to find him.
But, Mrs. Gillis, if you were afraid of it...
Oh, you don't understand. He's angry with me. He wants to kill me. And now he's hiding here somewhere. When you go, he'll come out and he'll kill me.
Say there, ma'am, take it easy. You're getting yourself all worked up.
You don't believe me.
Well, look, Mrs. Gillis, maybe I'd better run down to the corner and phone for somebody.
No, you can't leave me. I'll go with you.
Oh, well, sure. It'll make you feel any better. My car's right outside in the driveway.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. And we'll call the police. They'll come and get him.
Sure. Whatever you say. He looked like a nice enough young fellow, though. Are you sure that he...
Were you looking for me, Mrs. Gillis?
Why, yes, Howard. I was. Are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready. I just thought I'd wait in the car.
Sure. All right, Mrs. Gillis. You get in the back here.
Thank you.
It's very kind of you to do this for me. I'm very tired. I can't seem to remember things.
Well, now, don't try to, Howard. Just relax, Howard. We'll take care of you.
All ready?
All ready, Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Stevens?
What?
Do you think I have nice hands?
Why, yes, I guess so.
Yes. They're strong hands, too. Very strong.
Thank you to our wonderful performers and to our brilliant production manager, Barb Shoulders, and to you, our audience. We hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for the second half of our doubleheader, The Burning Court. You'll probably be wondering why we've gathered you all together and who'll get out alive. That episode is coming up at 9 o'clock, and we have another doubleheader next week, so tune back in and shh.